Hey, I, Zak Wolf, am finally doing another read-along review for you all. The big bad wolf gave me permission to do this one. The Disney one, that is. Even though he hasn't done very many record or cassette reviews recently. But then I got an interesting idea for a certain title that Disneyland Vista Records distributed. Since normally, during this time of year, it'd be the homecoming season for schools and colleges, if it weren't for that darn virus pandemic, and because today marks the 70th anniversary of the debut of the Peanuts comic strip by Charles M. Schulz. I thought I'd show you an unusual point in the Peanuts franchise's history. Yep, the read-along book and audio adaptation of the infamous 1977 Peanuts special, It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. Let me explain why it's so infamous and a bit controversial among the Peanuts fandom. First off, yes, that girl Charlie Brown is with is none other than the little red-haired girl, appearing in full view for the first time in any Peanuts media and given the name Heather. Already you could see kind of a problem there, as in the strip, Charles Schulz, aka Sparky, liked to make it so we never saw the little red-haired girl Charlie Brown had a crush on there. And later on, Sparky regretted the idea to do so with his special. Not surprisingly, he couldn't even come up with a good design for the little red-haired girl. Because of that, which would explain why with her subsequent animated appearances, her design varied quite a bit. Most notably the Peanuts movie for 5 years ago. And in that movie, she was even named Heather. But of course, Sparky always considered those Peanuts specials and such a separate continuity from the comic strip. And those animated appearances of the little red-haired girl were not canon, even if a couple of them were from after Sparky's death over 20 years ago. Another issue with this special is that it was the first one produced after the untimely death of the longtime Peanuts composer, Vince Guaraldi, who gave the Peanuts franchise its distinct jazzy soundtrack and jazzy compositions like Linus and Lucy. So instead, this special was scored by Ed Bogus and Judy Munson, who already scored the feature film Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown that year. And Guaraldi was actually set to score that movie before his death. It's sad how some of these things happen. But don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy some of Ed Bogus and Judy Munson's Peanuts soundtracks. Especially the score to Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, and Don't Come Back. Even if back then they had a very late 70s to early 80s type of sound. The first two specials they scored, this one and What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown, did use an arrangement of Linus and Lucy for their openings. Right away when hearing them, you can tell something's off. Definitely more so than that soft rock jazz version David Bennett came out with in 1989 and used on some of the Peanuts specialties he scored in the 90s and 2000s. But at least that version still has the distinct Peanuts feel to it, even if it has kind of a late 80s or early 90s sound to it. But yeah, after Guaraldi's final Peanuts special, It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown, the music to Peanuts animation would never be the same. Not even when David Bennett, as I already mentioned, would rearrange several Guaraldi's old music pieces for the 90s and 2000s specials. And another reason this special is very popular with fans is because, as you can tell by the cover, a football game is involved, which means Lucy pulls the football away a few times, messing up the main character's play and causing him to lose. And they go and blame Charlie Brown when it's all that Lucy's fault. It got so bad that subsequent reruns and releases of this special would edit a bit of the dialogue to soften the blow. But enough of this yakking. Let's see the pictures, hear the record, and read the book. and find out where they went wrong with this special. Ah, there.
Hi, I'm Charlie Brown. You can read along in your book as you listen to the story. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this. And now we present It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. All right, team, let's pay attention. We're not going to play around with those guys out there today. You guys up front, set them back.
Yeah, there was a parade at the start of the special, but they cut it out.
Okay, are there any questions? Hey, Coach, are we the zeros or the X's?
Marcy made, Pepper and Patty made kind of a big deal out of that question in the original special.
Let's get the game started, kicker.
We're already on the second page, and already we're getting this crud.
What happened? You missed the ball, Charlie Brown.
Because of Lucy.
They're on our 5-yard line. Linus and girl. It's, you mean Heather? It's the little red-haired girl. She's the homecoming queen, and you're supposed to escort her to the ball.
I think that dialogue was played during the parade scene that was cut for this read-along.
A kiss.
Oh.
Oh, good grief, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and he fell off the float in the parade, in the tea.
Time for the extra point, Charlie Brown. Okay, Chuck. I'll give you a chance to be a hero. Put one between the yellow uprights. You did it again, Charlie Brown.
No, Lucy did it again.
Too bad, Charlie Brown. That leaves them ahead. Now you've got to go back for the kickoff.
Linus should yell to stand up to his big
Hold
sister.
it there, Charlie Brown. We don't need a kicking tee. I'll hold the ball. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You pull it away, and I'll land flat on my back again.
She's lying.
This is a very important game. Do you think that I'd pull this football away in an important game like this?
She's lying. She always does.
This is too important a game. She wouldn't dare pull that ball away.
She would. Oh, the Warner Brothers trouble. See what I mean?
I feel woozy. Maybe you have hyponatremia. All you need is a little water and a little salt.
In the animated version, Snoopy acts as the referee.
Is it baseball season yet?
But since Snoopy doesn't talk in the specials, oh, a pop gun for halftime.
To answer your earlier question, Franklin, about the X's and the zeros, I think we found out who our zero is.
Offense and defense, that's what they are.
Okay, gang, we're gonna have to grind it out on the ground. Now they've only got us by 2 touchdowns. I know we can make that up and even more.
Cool music. Yeah, not all this music was bad. But in the comic strip, she and Marcy go to a different school than the other kids.
Linus, I've made a fool of myself. How can I face that little red-haired girl? Look at it this way, Charlie Brown. It's better to get bad press than no press at all. I doubt that, Linus. Look at her up there. I'm going to be her escort. and she doesn't even know I exist.
How can you be so sure?
It's fourth down, Charlie Brown, and here comes Peppermint Patty. Well, I can't push him back.
Sounds almost disco, that
field
Isak.
goal. We're on the 5-yard line, and nobody can miss such an easy kick. Not even you-know-who.
But with Lucy around, you bet he can. Right. Can you believe that? Lucy is really at her worst here. She knows it'll mess up the game if she keeps pulling away the football, and she looks Charlie Brown right in the eye and lies to him. And Charlie Brown gets all the blame. Like I said, this really angered a lot of viewers, and to try and soften it up on subsequent reruns and releases, they took Peppermint Patty blaming Charlie Brown for their losses, and they reversed and masked the sound. So now it sounds like she's just mumbling. Yeah, but at least one of them is unaltered on this recording coming up soon. And of course, I don't think this one is going to be rerun on TV anytime soon, especially not on network TV. I know they later on must have had issues with the football gag. And from It's the Great, because they must have had issues with Lucy pull away the football. As in the late 90s, CBS began editing out the football gag from It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And then ABC followed suit when they began airing the Peanuts specials in 2001, claiming it would allow room for more commercials. And so they could show Scared Shrekless, and later replaced with Toy Story and Terror uncut and in their entirety, because they're more popular and relevant than Peanuts, especially the Toy Story one. What with Disney owning ABC and Pixar, so much that got a little bit of fur in my mouth. So much that they gave Scared Shrekless the boot, so they could make room for Toy Story and Terror. Yet CBS and ABC would still leave the football gag intact at a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. ABC's contract to run the Peanuts specials expires this year, and I haven't heard any news about it, so it's safe to bet that ABC will not renew the contract, and this year will be the final year the Peanuts specials air on the network, after which they'll probably move to another channel, like maybe Fox, or possibly even go back to CBS, even though they already have a bunch of other classic holiday specials like Rankin Bass's Rudolph and Frosty, the latter of which has been running on CBS since its debut over 50 years ago. They could always allow room for the Peanuts classics, since ABC would be more focused on showing more contemporary holiday specials, like Prep and Landing, Olaf's Frozen Adventure, Toy Story The Time Forgot, and even still air Shrek the Halls, despite NBC airing the newer DreamWorks specials due to Comcast owning both, and ABC kicking Scared Shrekless off the network, as I already mentioned. But now I'm going off topic with those newer Disney, DreamWorks, and Pixar specials, etc. So let's continue with the story, beginning the second side with the worst thing Lucy does. Don't worry, I don't have the virus or anything. It's just a bit of fur in my mouth. A disadvantage of being a fuzzy toon animal. It's not like our current president, who has been diagnosed tested positive for COVID. That's karma, I tell ya. Oops. There.
Okay, Charlie Brown. The score is 21-20. We need 3 points to go ahead. You can do it, Charlie Brown. You can be the hero of the game.
Not if Lucy can help it.
I just can't miss the ball again. The little red-haired girl is watching. This is my last chance to really impress her.
Lucy! It's Lucy's fault!
They beat us by one.
That was one of the 2 lines that was reversed and masked on subsequent reruns and re-releases. So you get to hear it unmodified in this version.
Hey, Chuck, what are you doing here? After you lost today's game, this is the last place we thought you'd be. Yeah, you've got some nerve, Charlie Brown.
Come on, Lucy. It's your fault Charlie Brown screwed up. Your darn football game.
Who'd want to be your
And Pepper Patty picking on Charlie like that is out of character, too. There's one reason Sparky created Pepper Patty was to have a girl that was nice to Charlie Brown, compared to Lucy and Violet and the original Patty always being mean to him.
Gee, Charlie Brown, you look terrible. You'd better cheer up. You gotta escort the queen, you know. And don't be so nervous. I don't see why you have to be so nervous. Don't you realize what's happening? I'm going to meet the little red-haired girl. She's my dream girl. I'm going to meet her and be her escort.
Yep.
And you're going to kiss her, Charlie Brown. And you wonder why I'm nervous? This is it, Charlie Brown. That's our cue. At the dance, you're supposed to walk up to the queen, and then she'll take your arm.
I wonder if Linus or someone intentionally set Charlie Brown up with Heather, knowing she was the homecoming queen and Charlie Brown had a big crush on her.
And then before the dance starts, you give her a kiss on the cheek. It's a tradition, Charlie Brown.
The Warner Bros. Teeth chatter. Now in the actual special, we get this somewhat trippy scene with Charlie Brown floating around clouds in colorful patterns. But we don't see much of it here, so I'll move this around to simulate it. It's on cloud 9.
Next morning,
There's the new Charlie Brown voice. Oh, the J. Ward door sound effects.
hi, Charlie Brown. That game yesterday was a heartbreaker. There was a game? Golly, 1 point. They won by 1.
There they go, making a big deal out of such a small loss. Why do the Peanuts cartoons always have to do that? I know the Peanuts is not a very upbeat cartoon to begin with, but still.
It really turned out great, didn't it? You know, Charlie Brown, you surprised everyone.
Oh.
After you gave Heather that long, passionate kiss.
Passionate kisses.
Boy, then when the dance started, you really swept her off her feet. I did what? You were fantastic, Charlie Brown. You were the life of the party. I was what? Boy, you were great. You can really dance. Me dance? Then you even danced with all the princesses. You were doing the hustle, the bump, and the chicken, and all those other new dances too. I was? You sure were. Well, you lost us a football game, Charlie Brown, but you sure took the honors at the dance. Instead of the goat, you were the hero, Charlie Brown. What good is it to do anything, Linus, if you can't remember what you did?
Yeah.
Well, at least it was your first kiss, Charlie Brown.
The title drop that would close out a special typically. Hope someone took pictures of Charlie Brown dancing with the little red-haired girl. And there you have it. One of the most infamous and least popular Peanuts specials. It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. You can see why many disliked it when it originally came out. That was the first Peanuts special made after composer Vince Guaraldi died. Charlie Brown gets falsely blamed for screwing up the football game when it was that darn Lucy's fault. And the little red-haired girl showed a full view for the first time, and is named Heather, as I pointed out. They only lost by 1 point, but they all berate Charlie Brown for it, acting like they lost with a score of 0. Yeah. I need a drink of water or something. It's like in Avoiding Charlie Brown when, spoiler alert, or Charlie Brown loses to spelling bee, comes in second, but everyone acts like he came in last. Even Charlie himself does so. But anyways, besides this, it's been a while since I bought any records, what with the pandemic going on here. Going on here for 6 months now. Oh sure, National Record Store Day happened in June. So I was able to go out in my human disguise alongside a mask to cover my mouth. Well, a cloth mouth mask to cover the mouth on my rubber human mask. And buy a little bit of vinyl then. But the record expo I go to in Dedham had to be canceled twice due to this virus. And the conventions I usually go to in Boston be canceled. Ugh. That meant I could not stop at that in-your-ear record store I've often shown you. But I was recently able to buy a 45 RPM single off eBay. It's not here yet, but it should hopefully arrive in the post next week. Usually I only use eBay to buy LP albums, or book an audio read-alongs, like this one we just listened to. Anyways, there's a little hope for the rest of this year, given our current president's karma. But now to hope I can still do something for Halloween, so stay tuned to find out.